Hey guys, welcome back to Ferrigno Freedom Channel. I'm Dante Ferrigno, and I have been on a carnivore way of eating known as the lion diet now for 3 years. And though I usually talk about nutrition and health specifically, sometimes I like to react to some of the other videos I've seen out there that are either talking about the carnivore diet in a good way, sometimes talking about the carnivore diet in a bad way, and occasionally I'll even review things like advertisements where we go back and we look at some of the things we used to watch, especially when we were younger, that were constantly pounded into our brain every few minutes as we were watching our favorite TV shows. And sometimes these days, even when you're watching movies, you get a lot of these commercials that are telling you about foods that are supposedly good for you. Well, I stumbled across this one channel called Honest Ads, and Honest Ads is a parody site, I guess you would call it, a parody skit type of thing, where they get together and do a little comedy skit talking about the different things that we have been advertised to about. And I saw this one that they did. I haven't seen the actual video. I just saw the title for it called If Soda Commercials Were Honest. Honest Ads, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper parody. And I thought, this might be interesting. Thankfully, I've been able to quit sodas now for longer than 3 years. I actually quit sodas probably 6 or 7 years ago because I just realized that they're horrible for you. But, it's tough when I see my children still occasionally having sodas and they want those sodas, and I see all their friends that want to drink them, and I see people on a regular basis that think nothing of drinking soda. And I thought it would be interesting to share my reaction with you guys. So let's go ahead and jump right in and take a look at it here.
Hot out? Need to cool down? Instead of water, might I suggest an ice-cold bottle of candy?
That's exactly what they are.
We added some water and bubbles to it so you can pretend it's a drink. It's not. It's basically syrup, but my competitors and I have spent decades and billions of dollars to slowly make the general public associate our product with fun, happiness, togetherness, and in some cases, entire holidays, which thankfully happen regularly, forever. Point is, you're probably already on board with the idea of consuming wet sugar with bubbles in it. So I'm not going to spend any more money on this, nor am I going to pay a celebrity millions of dollars to tell you to drink wet sugar with bubbles in it. I don't need to. You love it. Hi. I'm some guy named Roger, and if it's hot out, or you like having friends, or some other virtually universal aspect of life, I think you should buy some Horton brand effervescent liquid candy.
Some other virtually universal aspect of life. That is so perfect, because I remember growing up, people would get in arguments over whether they were a Coke drinker or a Pepsi drinker. And if you weren't drinking the brand of whatever candy they were serving, then you weren't in that in crowd with whoever it was you were with. It's amazing how we attach these things, these emotional triggers to things like this. Like it just doesn't matter. It's supposed to be something that we use to cure our thirst refreshment, to refresh our thirst. I'll get it out eventually. But ultimately, I'm drinking club soda right now. I love club soda now. I used to hate the idea of even drinking club soda. My father used to drink club soda, and I didn't understand why. And I remember being a kid wanting to drink sodas all the time because it was the drug. It was the drug of choice. It was candy. It was candy in a bottle. And the bubbles are what I got used to that were the hard thing for me to want to quit. So when I finally quit soda, it was club soda that helped me quit. And then I've grown to just love the crisp flavor of not having a bunch of syrup in my drink. But yeah, we attach all kind of mental things to this stuff. And, as a company that manufactures it, what a benefit for them. They don't even hardly have to sell it. They just show you a picture of a polar bear holding a Coca-Cola, and that's the advertisement. They don't even have to try to convince you to buy it. They already know you're going to drink it. You're going to drink it anywhere, every time, no matter what. Exercise, no exercise, has no bearing on any of it. It's just easy money for the manufacturer of these things.
But more importantly, buy some for your kids. Of course, if your child goes to public school, we have huge stakes in their lunch programs, so we'll just sell it to them directly and cut you entirely out of the equation. You can even put money in a glass box and get a wide variety of flavors. Caramel dye. If you knew how much sugar a human is supposed to consume in a day, very little, and how much sugar is in one bottle of wet sugar, lots, you probably wouldn't drink it. And we want you to drink it. So we bullied the FDA into letting us straight up not give you that information. But if you're really concerned, we can put the word diet somewhere on the can and replace the piles of natural sugar with chemicals that are so incompatible with human biology that our bodies don't even metabolize them.
Isn't this perfect? This is exactly what advertisements should be like. If they were going to tell you the truth, this is the thing that I've always hated about advertising, is that they're lying to you. They're straight up lying to you, and it's allowed because, like he said, they bully the FDA. They bully the FDA because the FDA gets all of their funding from the companies that get approved. So if they're not being paid to get approvals, then they don't get the funding that they need. And then people in the FDA are easily bought off for things that if the company wants the FDA to approve something, all they got to do is get the right person, the right little suitcase full of money. And for those of you who don't think that happens, I've known people who have been in these positions before who have told me it's exactly what goes on. And it's the sad state of affairs, but at least this gives us something humorous to deal with as far as looking at this. And there's something so honest about it, I can't help but love it.
That's gonna slide right through me. Luckily, we're pretty sure these chemicals don't cause any lasting damage, well, except bladder cancer in laboratory animals and other kinds of cancer in other laboratory animals. But you're a human, so f*** it. Sweet, sweet acid. Yes, acid is the right word. If I pour a bottle of cool, refreshing, sugary acid onto a car, it will literally strip away the paint. But we don't pour it on cars. We pour it in our mouths, past our teeth, into our tummies. And you'll pay more money than you should for it, even though it costs almost nothing to produce.
You know, it's funny, he mentions that acid. I hadn't thought about that in a while. I remember there was a time when I used to hear about it, and I've seen people do it. I think I've done it once myself. I didn't actually do it off of a trailer hitch, but I've used Coca-Cola to clean rust off of metal objects. And it's amazing. If you put, what did we do? We put a nickel, I think it was. We took a nickel or a quarter or something and we scraped around the edges of the coin and put the coin inside of Coca-Cola and let it sit for a while. I don't remember if it was a day or two or hours or whatever, but whatever it was, when we came back, the only thing that was left of the coin was the two faces, the sides of the coin, and the inside was completely gone. That's what you're drinking when you drink Coke, sodas, all these brands. I'm not just picking on Coke as a brand. I pick on all of them because it's candy that's poison.
Nothing to produce. The container actually is the most expensive part.
And now they put it in plastic, so it's cheap as it can be.
Could you save that for me? An awful lot of water went into making that. I'm Roger. Buy some. Can I get my stomach pumped?
Yep, that's perfect. It's exactly what it's like, drinking those sodas. You know, when you read the ingredients on those things, when you see high fructose corn syrup, that stuff is that's like the worst form of sugar that you could possibly consume, because your liver is the only part of your body that can process fructose. And when it's processing that fructose to use it for energy, it converts it all into fat that goes right around your liver. There's a modern day illness that used to be unheard of called fatty liver disease. Now, it was common somewhat with people who drank too much alcohol, but it was not as common with the regular public. Nowadays, you're seeing more and more people get non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and nobody seems to know why. It's exactly like he said. If you had any idea how much sugar a human was supposed to eat in a day compared to how much we're consuming in a day now, you would never touch this stuff. Being on a carnivore diet, I never eat sugar. I only eat sugar when my addiction takes over and I'm in a social situation and make a mistake usually, or it's a situation where my family, who is still addicted and still eats the stuff that they shouldn't be eating, brings home some things that I normally wouldn't even keep around. But it's like putting crack in front of somebody who's addicted to that. You're not going to be able to resist it sometimes. Most of the time I can, thankfully. It's just awful. It's been proven that sugar is harder to kick than some of the hard drugs that are out there, and it's probably just as bad for you. Just because it doesn't have as instant of a response, just because it doesn't cause you to do things you shouldn't do, like some of those things might cause you to be inebriated, it is doing damage to your body that is just on a level that our bodies are built so magnificently. They can handle a lot of things. But we just keep pouring it in and pouring it in and pouring it in. And then we're wondering why our kids are hitting puberty so early, why everybody is getting sick so easily, why our immune systems are compromised, why we're extremely obese. Around the world, obesity has become an epidemic proportion because of the junk foods that we have in our food supply. And soda is probably the most ubiquitous. Well, that was a lot of fun to be able to watch somebody actually say what we hear when we see those commercials that are trying to get us to buy that garbage. Nice to see somebody put something together like that. Anyway, that's all I got for this one, guys. I'll see you next time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?
One of the things I do to fight back against big food and big pharma is to recommend companies that make animal-based products that are good for our bodies and good for our skin. In this case, I'm talking about Vintage Tradition. Vintage Tradition tallow balms are a go-to for me now, especially the unscented one. I like it because it doesn't have anything extra in it other than extra virgin olive oil and tallow rendered from suet. This is the interior fat, also called suet or kidney fat. For the tallow they use making the tallow balm, highly saturated and therefore more therapeutic than any other. They don't use any trim fat or any other fats besides suet. So if you want some ancestrally appropriate skincare products that are going to help support the carnivore movement, head over to vintagetradition.com and use my discount code Dante, D-A-N-T-E, to save 10% on your order. I promise you won't regret it. Their products are fantastic. I love them and I use them all the time.